Good, there we go. Good evening. This is Jeff Eastburn with Franklin Township. I'm the operations manager. And this evening, we are having an agriculture security area committee meeting. It's been quite some time, probably a little more than 10 years since we had met last time. So it is, I'll call it 6:58, 6:59. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And if we could just stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, the flag is on the wall there. That would be great. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. All right, traditionally with our meetings, we do have public comment. And I did want to offer that to Mr. Brown if he had anything at this point. This public comment can include any comments relating to any of the agenda items. Commenters must state their name and whether they are a resident of the township or a taxpayer of the township. Do you have any questions, Mr. Brown, right now? Okay. Thank you for coming this evening. And I would like to thank Jay Duckowitz and Donna D for becoming members of our group. It's very, very much appreciated. Right now, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Jeff Shellington from Chester County Agriculture Department to give an introduction as to what ASA is. He's more than willing to take questions and answer them to the best of his ability. And then we will then go in and talk about the ASA application the township had received. So, Mr. Shellington, you are on.
All right, thank you. So an ASA is basically just a level of confidence against nuisance laws. So if farmers, if there's a farm that's around a development and someone says they're farming too early, they're farming too late, they don't like how it looks, they don't like how it smells, they don't like any of the things. If so, outsiders, if they come in, they're covered if they're in an ASA. There is no cost to get into an ASA. There is no cost to get out of an ASA. So if someone is in an ag security area and they decide that they want to sell to a developer, they just have to reach out to the township. The township can remove it from the ASA at no cost. So it's not like 319, what we're used to, where there's penalties for rollback taxes or anything. So it's basically, it's literally, I mean, I don't know why any farm that's in Chester County shouldn't be in an ASA. It just, I mean, it makes total sense. I really don't know what more to say than that. I mean, that's the overview. So, I mean, if there's any questions, I'm not the one that runs the ASA. I mean, like I said, I know enough to be dangerous. And I can answer questions if anybody has questions. But this, I mean, this project right here that we're looking at tonight, not to jump ahead, but we're looking at 2 acres. And 2 acres seems like a small parcel and it's a triangle, but the entire rest of the farm is in the ag security area. So we're just asking to add that to the rest of the farm. And like, unlike 319, there's no minimum acreage to be in an ASA. So, I mean, even a half acre piece of property could be in an ASA if they meet all the questions that will.
I thought it says that who can participate has to be 10 acres.
No, so.
Right, 10 acres or.
Yes. So so what I'm saying is if it's the whole property, yes. Yes, so this 2 acres is okay because it's the whole property. So correct. So if there's even if they had, what I meant to say was, even if they had a half acre parcel that's adding to their existing farm, then that's fine.
So Jeff, I think another thing to for people to know that a key part of being in an ASA or important thing of being, as say, being able, if you want to preserve your farm, which is something that you want to do, it's a prerequisite. So that's
Sure.
something to keep in mind if you're thinking about preserving your farm. that
Yep.
This is just something that you need to have in place.
That's probably should have started with that. That's a great point. Yes.
Jeff, since the Hawkins just went through this whole procedure, could you kind of just outline the procedure for the application, what you have to do? I know there isn't, or you have to put up some signs around the neighborhood and some other things. So is there any way to step us through that process?
As far as the ASA,
Yeah, how do you?
I can do that, John, if you.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yep.
Just to give some background information, about this. The township did work with our solicitor's office and they did recommend several things. One was that we posted the property in 5 different locations, and I tried to do that along the road. We also put an advertisement in the newspaper regarding this notice. It appeared on March 3rd. There then is a 15-day comment period, and that would have ended on the 18th. We have not received any questions or concerns or phone calls. Well, I will take that back. I did get a nice phone call from your sister, Mr. Brown. We had a nice chat. I walked away from that conversation that she was okay with everything. In front of you, you should have a couple pieces of paper. One shows the map. It shows the 2-acre parcel outlined. On the opposite side of that page is the actual signed application by Mrs. Hocking that we have in front of us. You also have a sheet, I'm sorry. You also have a sheet, or it should be on the side there. It says draft discussion purposes only. Our solicitor felt it was important for our committee to consider the questions on that sheet. I did try to do some advanced homework on there to have an answer. It doesn't mean we can't change it. But I did work with Jeff Shellington, who was here with us this evening, as well as Nate Klein, one of our township engineers. So that's the process we went through, John. So this is where it gets to be kind of a gray area for me, Mr. Shellington. But I don't know if you want to discuss the application. I know it's very simple. And then we can go through those questions and see if any of the members or the public have any questions at all.
Sure. Do you want me to go through the questions one by one?
Sure. Yes, please.
To start, Jeff.
You want
Where do these questions come from? Are they something that the solicitor and the two of you?
Well, to be honest, it's the solicitor gave those to me.
They come from the Pennsylvania Department of Ag. So that's where they lie. So that's, I mean, their PDA is the one that creates the ASA in general, and that's where the questions originated from. Harrisburg.
And Dave, I'm sure you're very familiar with Guy Donatelli from our solicitor's office. He actually had me work with one of his associates, Melissa Reinstatter. And Guy had told me she has the superior knowledge in putting these applications through. So a lot of these recommendations came from her for us to consider this evening.
Plus you put in our package is the agricultural security area handbook, and then you have who can participate. And it's really every question is lined up here.
Mhm.
So it's just picking it right out of the book.
I don't want to make it, I guess I do want to make a comment. I mean, these questions are in an official state handbook and they're very confusing. And for as long as we've had ASAs that we have, that the Commonwealth hasn't cleaned up these questions, I think is kind of interesting. But we'll go through them.
Yes, please.
Mhm. So the first one is whether the soil is conducive to agriculture. So that is a yes. And to take that one step further, to be eligible for ag preservation, 50% of the soils have to be in classes 1 through 4, which are prime ag soils. And I believe 96% of the Hawkins farm, it's maybe more, maybe it's 98%, 96 or 98% are classes 1 through 4. So that is a definite yes. Whether the land falls within Soil Conservation Service classification of unique farmland. So that is the one that was confusing to me. And that's the one that I had to do some research on, I'll be honest. So this is the one that they put in there that my research said that if it wasn't class 1 through 4, unique farmland was another designation to be able to get these farms in an ASA. So it was able to help the farmer. It wasn't there to hinder them. It was there to help them. In this case, we don't have to worry about it because there's, I mean, all but 0.2 acres are in classes 1 through 4. So they're great soils. Whether the land is compatible with municipal comprehensive plans.
Yes, I did have a conversation with our engineer Nate Klein about that. And of course, his answer was, yes, it was compatible.
And then whether landowner proposed to include all their land regardless of zoning, and that was a yes. Whether the land is viable ag land, that's a yes. And do any additional factors exist such as the extent and nature of farm improvements, anticipated trends in agricultural, economic, and technological conditions? And that's a none.
So Jeff, can you just explain that? So
Yeah, that's.
is that you want it to be yes, or do you want it, I mean, so you want it to be a no, because why? Just what's the thinking here?
Yeah, so again, I know enough to be dangerous, but from my research, that just means that they're not gonna turn it into something that's gonna be, right now, there is minimal impervious surface. They don't have visions of it being all impervious surface. So they want to keep it in farming. That's how I interpret it. So farm improvements would be to build out, to build more buildings, build more parking lots, build more, and there's at this point, yes, that's allowed, but at this point, there's no plans for that. And I agree, it's confusing the way it's worded.
Now, on that, are you just talking about that 2-acre lot? Or are you talking about the whole farm?
In this instance, we're talking about the 2-acre lot. The whole farm's already in it.
Right, okay. Yeah, so it's just that 2-acre
Mhm.
piece.
Anybody know why this 2-acre wasn't added in originally?
So, to my knowledge, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, when we received the application, this 2-acre lot wasn't on the application. And then when we sat down with the family, when we looked at the map, they wanted to add the 2-acre lot to it. So when they originally did the application, everything was already in the ASA. That 2-acre lot was not. So when they wanted to add that 2-acre lot, we found out it wasn't in the ASA, so we had to add it.
It was a piece of ground that was bought later on from the farm. And so it had a separate tax parcel. I think it just kind of got looked over when we did agree.
it's important to me. Does the public have any questions of Jeff Shellington? Are you okay with the answers to these questions? And I guess my last question for you is, are you in agreement where we can then forward this along to Chester County Planning for their review? As well as the Franklin Township Planning Commission, which will be the first Thursday in April.
I mean, for myself, I think you look at two instances. Is there any, in response to these questions, is there any reason not to add it? And does it make sense to add it, given the applicant's intent? I'm a yes in both of those situations.
Yes, so am I.
What do you think, Mr. Duckowitz?
I don't see any reason not to go with it.
Okay,
I agree.
okay,
They answered the one question why it wasn't included in the original.
okay. So,
Does there have to be an official vote?
does there have to be an official vote?
Mhm.
Okay,
Motion and a second.
okay.
Yep.
I can try and cobble one together, Donna, with your help. I would appreciate it.
I'm usually pretty good with these motions.
He'll second.
I hereby make a motion that the Franklin Township Agriculture Security Area Committee at our meeting this evening on March 20th, 2025, accept and approve the application for Chester County Tax Parcel Number 72-2-41, which is at 1067 Wickerton Road, Landenberg, PA. And the landowner would be Lois Hawking. Is there a second?
Are you able to make a motion?
Say so moved.
I'll say so moved.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussion whatsoever? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries 5-0. So, and just to give you another chance, Mr. Brown, any questions or anything from you this evening? Okay. Anything from the committee for Mr. Shellington? Okay. All right, I'll make a motion and maybe Dave can say so moved. I hereby make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting at 7:16 PM.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you all very much for coming out.
Some-
I hope so. I
Okay,
hope so. So I haven't done,